Tai Chi is, by the nature of it, is a polarity. So we've got people who are really perfectionistic, really structured, maybe a little bit rigid even, and people at the other end of the spectrum who are really flowing, minimal structure, very easygoing, that kind of thing. So ideally the balance is in the middle, and not a stillness in the middle. A stillness comes, but then it moves again. So there's this small drift from one side to the other. That's the aim. This is where balance, health, energy, wisdom, all that's found in the middle here. To think that you'll find a balance between extremes, that come to a point of stillness and it remain there forever, you're deluding yourself. So it comes very still. So it's natural for things to go to a point of stillness and then start to move again. Ideally, as you gain more awareness through Tai Chi practice and through the use of Tai Chi in your daily life, the need for you to have to go all the way to one side of the extreme or to this side of the extreme is not needed anymore. We have the awareness to know I'm deviating from center. I'm a little bit over here now. I need to put a bit more flow into what I'm doing. I'm a bit too airy-fairy here, a bit too flowy, not structured, a bit more structure. It'll pull you back to the middle. So we're dealing with polarities. Another way to think about those polarities is chaos and order. Another one, probably chaos more this side, order this side with the perfectionism, or structured and unstructured. It's different ways of thinking about it, or certainty and uncertainty. We're all dealing with similar concepts here when it comes to perfectionism and too much flow. So where Tai Chi is very good for perfectionists is that, particularly when you get into the refinement of the movements, it's very particular, very perfectionistic. Because ideally, if I've got to alter my wrist for a little bit, if I make it really big, my whole body needs to alter. So it's all micro movements, or I'm not quite relaxed in my shoulder here. So the teacher comes here, relax your shoulder, drop that a little bit. I feel here relaxed now. I feel it integrating to the structure. So one little small adjustment, it has to integrate and flow into the rest of the structure too. So the one small movement affects the entire structure. That's when the Tai Chi is getting really good. So it's really perfectionistic. What is also useful for perfectionistic people is that if you become too perfectionistic, it becomes a problem, and you already would know that. It becomes a big problem. You get too stuck on things, can't move forward. Perfectionism is actually for refinement of things. If you're trying to create something in your life, so maybe you're writing a book, for example, I don't want to release this to the publisher until it's perfect. It's like, good luck, it'll probably never get out. So you do your first draft, get something out, so you flow with that. It's not going to be perfect. Flow with it, do a second draft, makes it a bit more cohesive to what you want. Maybe a third draft, then so it's the refinement is after the initial thing you're trying to build is pretty much built. Then you refine it. That's where perfectionism is used. Often perfectionism is used at the start, and it gets nothing happening at the back end. It's just ideas that I've got, but I can't bring them out into reality here. The other side of it is, for perfectionists, they'll need more flow. So Tai Chi's got natural flow inside. It's all based on flow. It's like running water. Still water, stagnant water, still water becomes stagnant over time. So we need more water to move through the system, more flow. So there can be this sense of linkage in the body, where it's too constricted. We want movement. We want that kind of thing. So within the energy system of a perfectionistic person is flow, and that's built quite early because it's the nature of Tai Chi. When people always see about Tai Chi, it flows. Tai Chi needs to flow. If you're too perfectionistic, becomes too mechanical looking, you won't have the right feeling inside. On the other side of it, people who are too flowy, so they really love this flow, they're good at it. They're not really that fussed about refinement and movement and where things are meant to be, specific details. That's a big problem. So over time, as they do the Tai Chi practice, they learn the meaningfulness of having more structure inside flow. So what someone might look like if they're too flowy, usually have financial issues, maybe housing issues, things to do with the base chakra not working too well. It's all good, man, with flow, blah, blah. So usually spiritual ideals, that kind of thing, but really can't manifest what's in heaven onto the earth. That's quite a common thing. So when we put more structure, a bit more perfectionism mainly, it's more structure into the flowing person, it balances them out. The same as the person who we put more flow into who's too rigid, too structured. Flow balances them out. So we're aiming to balance both kinds of people. Then you'll find it'll help your relationships because it helps you flow where you're normally stuck on things. The biggest problem in any relationship is your own sense of identity, that people are always pushing on an edge. The more masterful you become in your identity, in your ego being used for your spiritual development, you'll find that people, you don't feel like people are pushing on an edge, or they don't feel like they're pushing on an edge all the time. It feels like they're pushing on something rounded. There's a smooth, there's a yielding. That's the flow. That's Tai Chi.